Today we're going to change the controller mounting location on your T3 electric trike. The controller here is normally mounted behind the seat. If you move the seat into the furthest back position though, the controller will interfere with the back of the seat. We're going to use scissors to cut the zip ties today because that's a commonly available tool. And we've got some spare zip ties. When we relocate the controller, we can put it in a number of places. It doesn't matter where you have the controller as long as the cables are not being rubbed by the chain or the tire and the controller is somewhere out of the way. The easiest location I think today is going to be to mount it to the rear brace here of the seat. You could also put it under the boom tube down here, or you could put it on the seat stay or chain stay, but I think the best plan is to mount it to the rear brace of the seat. To see that rear brace right back here, running right along the back of the seat frame. So the first thing we'll want to do is find our cables. We'll unplug the motor cable and leave that connector open. We'll carefully get our scissors in here and cut the zip ties without damaging the cable. If you're using scissors to cut zip ties, you'll need to wiggle the zip ties a little bit. Be careful of the paint on the bike frame and of the cables themselves. Get the scissors in, cut the zip tie. Now the motor cable is completely free. Next we'll do the battery cable up here if it's got a zip tie on it. If you happen to have a pair of side cutters or dikes or a razor blade, that can also be a good tool for doing this. Now the battery cable is free and unplugged from the battery. Next, we can unplug the pedal assist cable. That's this small one here. And we can follow the accessory cable forward. We'll need to cut the zip tie, bundling the accessory cable up. And a second zip tie. Now we can unplug the accessory cable. Now there are no zip ties securing any of the cables that are wired to the controller. So we can remove the controller from the down tube back here by cutting its zip ties off. Now that the controller has been removed, we can work on its new mounting location. We'll position the controller on the front part of the lower seat support in here. I'm going to orient the motor plug onto the right side of the bike here so that I can connect directly to the motor here. I'll line up the arrows on each half of the plug. And once the arrows are lined up, then I'll plug it straight in. And I'll make sure that the line at the end of the male plug ends up touching the female connector, so I know it's plugged in all the way. With the controller oriented on top of this rear bar on the seat frame, I can zip tie the controller down. on both sides. And I'll get the zip ties nice and tight so that the controller can't rattle around. And then once I have it tight, I can run the cables out. I can run the battery cable up to the rack and secure the cable back here and get it ready to plug into the battery. Then I can take the accessory cable that goes up to the handlebars, line the arrows on that up, plug it back in all the way, and then take the excess cable and fold it in half once, and fold it in half again. And I'm not bundling it tightly, I'm just folding it enough to take up the slack and keep the cables free of the chain. So once I've got it folded gently, I can zip tie it down to the boom tube on the bottom of the bike. The zip ties, I'm running them between the frame and the rear derailleur cable. If I run the zip ties over the top of the rear derailleur cable and tie that mechanical cable for the rear derailleur tightly to the frame, then it won't be able to move smoothly and it will affect our shifting. So I'll run the zip tie between the frame and the cable. But once I have those two connected, I can take the pedal assist cable. This is the smallest cable with the 3-pin yellow connection, and I can plug that in to the controller here. Once I have that plugged in, I can take my scissors and I can carefully cut the excess off of the zip ties. When I'm doing that, it's going to be much easier if I cut far up inside the scissors instead of at the tip. And again, I'm being careful not to cut any of the cables or do any damage to the paint. And once I've got them cut, I can buckle the seat back up. It's easiest to undo the Velcro and loosen the buckles a little bit, buckle them together, and then retighten the buckles after they've been attached, and then reattach the Velcro. So you see I've got it buckled, and then I pull it tight and attach the Velcro. You want these buckles to be tight in order to add tension to the seat to keep it from sagging. So I undo the Velcro, loosen the buckle, buckle it, tighten the strap, and then reattach the Velcro. Then I can sit down on the bike and double check that my back isn't contacting the controller. And you'll see that I've got plenty of room back there. So at this point, I'm ready to turn the screen on and take it for a ride.